What if every breath you take is casting a vote for the version of reality you remain in? Not your thoughts, not your words, but your breath. That silent, rhythmic force you rarely think about might be the very thing anchoring you to timelines you desperately want to leave behind. Because here's the cosmic secret: breath is not just air. It's a signal, a frequency, a command sent to the quantum field, instructing it which version of life to reflect back to you. And if your breath is locked in survival, in stress, in subconscious patterns inherited and unhealed, you'll keep waking up in the same loop, no matter how much you visualize, affirm, or strive. In this transmission, we'll unveil the forgotten science, ancient secrets, and multidimensional truths of breath. You'll learn why most people are unknowingly breathing themselves into the wrong timeline, and how to reclaim your breath as a portal to higher states of consciousness, coherence, and power. This isn't just about breathing better. This is about awakening your original code, one conscious inhale at a time. Most people think of breathing as purely biological. Inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide, repeat. But beneath this surface lies one of the most profound truths of existence. Your breath is the interface between the physical and the energetic. Every breath you take carries not just molecules, but information, frequency, intention, and pattern. And depending on how you breathe, you're either aligning with the quantum field of infinite potential or locking yourself into a looping program of limitation. The breath is a transmitter. It's the rhythm that speaks directly to your subconscious mind. And since the subconscious governs 95% of your daily behavior, your breathing patterns are not just reactions to your reality, they are architects of it. If you breathe shallow, you live shallow. If your breath is rushed and constricted, so too will be your perception of what's possible. Air becomes experience. Each inhale shapes your access to energy, and each exhale releases or holds on to the emotional imprints of the past. Here's the quantum key. Breath sets the tone for brainwave states. A calm, coherent breath drops you into alpha or even theta, the brainwave spaces of deep intuition, insight, and subconscious reprogramming. But chaotic breathing keeps you in beta, survival mode. And survival mode is like static on a radio dial. It cuts off the signal from higher consciousness, from the intuitive nudges and synchronistic opportunities that only show up when you're in tune. Dr. Joe Dispenza often says, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. But what if the breath is the vehicle that moves that energy in the first place? Your attention might wander toward a new dream, but if your breath is still coded in fear, contraction, or scarcity, you won't move. You'll visualize the new while physiologically anchoring to the old. To shift realities, you must first shift respiration. That's the unspoken truth. You don't need to escape your current life. You need to rewire how you breathe within it. Because the breath doesn't just keep you alive, it tells the universe what kind of life you're available for. Imagine a wild animal sensing danger, heart racing, lungs tightening, breath shallow and fast. That's survival breathing. But here's the problem. Humans have normalized this pattern. Through constant stress, overstimulation, and emotional suppression, we've trained ourselves to breathe like we're under threat, even when we're safe. And this kind of breath doesn't just reflect your state, it reinforces it. It locks your body into a reality where fear, urgency, and separation dominate. This shallow, upper chest breathing triggers the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response. When you're stuck in this loop, your energy gets rerouted away from creativity, insight, and healing, and into defense. You literally stop being able to see higher possibilities. Why? Because the brain perceives any new path as risky when it's operating from survival. Stress collapses your timeline options. You're not choosing a life. you're reacting to avoid pain. Gregg Braden speaks often about coherence, the state where heart and brain are in energetic alignment, but shallow breath kills coherence. It short-circuits your ability to sense your own intuition, to feel your way into resonance with your desired reality. And without that inner harmony, you're just guessing your way through life, constantly responding to external triggers instead of consciously designing from within. There's also a hidden energetic dimension to this. In quantum terms, the breath modulates your electromagnetic field. If your breath is erratic, your field becomes unstable, like a radio trying to tune to multiple stations at once. No clear signal, no magnetic charge to draw in the parallel reality you actually desire. You remain entangled with the frequency of fear, unable to vibrate into the timeline of your choosing. And here's the wildest part. Your body begins to crave this state. It becomes chemically addicted to cortisol, adrenaline, and shallow breathing as its baseline. This means even in moments of peace, your breath will unconsciously pull you back into chaos, back into the same looping story. Until you break the pattern, you'll keep recreating the same life, even if your mind wants something entirely different. Your nervous system is like the operating system of your reality. Every perception, every choice, every thought is filtered through its state. And shallow breathing, it hijacks that system. It subtly convinces the body that you're unsafe, even if there's no danger in sight. This disconnect between physical safety and energetic alarm becomes the root of most spiritual stagnation. Because when your nervous system is trapped, your consciousness is too. In a state of calm, the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, activates. This is where real awakening begins. It's in this space that your awareness expands, your intuition sharpens, and your sense of connection deepens. But shallow breathing denies you access to this realm. It's like trying to meditate while sprinting. The door to higher consciousness simply doesn't open under duress. Bruce Lipton teaches that our biology adapts to our environment. But here's the catch. Your breath tells your body what environment you're in. When you breathe like you're under attack, your cells respond accordingly. Creativity, empathy, and insight, all higher functions, shut down. You become reactive, defensive, and blind to the energetic invitations that life constantly offers. You become a loop instead of a portal. Now imagine someone trying to shift realities, practicing affirmations, visualizations, even scripting. But their breath is tight, stuck in the chest, barely flowing. They're working against their own biology. They're trying to climb a spiritual mountain with their nervous system chained to the base. Without breath awareness, no technique fully takes root, because the nervous system has veto power over the mind. But here's the liberation code. Your breath can retrain your nervous system, and when it does, everything changes. Suddenly, you respond instead of react. You tune in instead of tune out. You don't just think differently, you feel differently, and that changes what you allow into your life. Breathwork isn't just therapy, it's time travel. It pulls you out of old emotional timelines and into a new field of conscious creation. Breathing is more than air exchange. It's frequency modulation. Each breath you take carries a vibrational signature that either aligns you with your highest timeline or echoes the static of the past. This is the secret mystics, monks, and modern quantum thinkers alike understand. Breath is a tuning fork. It sets the tone for your entire field. And when you breathe with precision, rhythm, and awareness, you literally change your frequency, and with it, your reality. The law of vibration tells us that everything is energy in motion. But the question is, what frequency are you vibrating at? Shallow, erratic breathing tends to lock you into low-frequency states, fear, doubt, control. But conscious, rhythmic breath, especially slow, diaphragmatic breathing, harmonizes your field with the higher states of love, peace, intuition, and abundance. You become like a radio finely tuned to a station that plays only miracles. Dr. Joe Dispenza emphasizes brain and heart coherence as the key to manifestation. But what creates that coherence? The breath. Inhale gently through the nose, hold in stillness, exhale with intention. This isn't just calming, it's alchemical. It organizes the electromagnetic rhythm of your body. It tells your cells, we're safe now, let's evolve. That's the code. Frequency breathing is not just technique, it's transmission. The ancient yogic texts spoke of prana, not just as breath, but as life force energy. When you breathe consciously, you aren't just oxygenating blood, you're moving prana through the energy channels, aligning your chakras and opening spiritual gateways. This is frequency breathing in its purest form, a bridge between physical form and quantum intelligence. And unlike willpower or mindset, breath can bypass resistance and rewire the field instantly. So if you want to shift timelines, don't just focus on thought, focus on breath as vibration. Begin to ask, what frequency does this breath carry? Is it heavy with fear? Is it laced with doubt? Or is it charged with peace, presence, and power? Because every inhale is a vote, every exhale is a signal. Breathe with the energy of the reality you desire, and that frequency will find you. Long before neuroscience mapped the brain or physics explored the quantum field, ancient mystics had already discovered the gateway to alternate realities, the breath. In the Himalayan caves, Egyptian temples, and mystery schools of Atlantis and Lemuria, breath was never treated as mere biology. It was ritual, it was portal, it was magic. These adepts knew something modern science is only now rediscovering. Breath is the bridge between the known and the infinite. In yogic traditions, Pranayama, the conscious control of breath, wasn't just for health, it was a tool for awakening. Through specific breathing patterns, practitioners would access higher states of consciousness, slow down time, enter trance, or commune with non-physical intelligences. The breath was their ship, their vehicle to move beyond the veil, and each pattern was a key, unlocking a specific vibrational realm. Reality wasn't fixed, it was tuned into. Egyptian mystics, especially those within the Hermetic lineage, worked with breath to activate the Ka and Ba, energetic bodies beyond the physical. Breath was how they traveled astrally, how they downloaded information from the Akashic field. They would often chant or hum with the breath, creating resonance in the body to shake loose any energies that anchored them to false timelines. In their eyes, breath wasn't automatic. It was sacred geometry in motion. Even the Essenes, a mystical sect that likely included Yeshua, Jesus, practiced breath sequences in nature, aligning their breath with sunrise and lunar cycles. They believed that breath synchronized with cosmic rhythm could realign a person's destiny. Breath, to them, was both technology and prayer, a communion between body, cosmos, and spirit. Today, we see remnants of these teachings in breathwork modalities like holotropic breathing, Wim Hof, and rebirthing, but the core remains unchanged. When breath is used with awareness, intention, and rhythm, it becomes a multidimensional switchboard. You're not just calming the body, you're choosing a different field of probabilities. Reality isn't fixed, it's responsive, and the breath, it's how you place your order with the universe. There's a moment, subtle, often unnoticed, when the breath drops into rhythm with the heart. In that stillness, a portal opens. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's measurable science. The HeartMath Institute calls it heart-brain coherence, a state where the electrical signals of your heart and brain sync up into harmonic resonance. And how do you enter this state? Through the breath. Slow, intentional, heart-centered breathing is the key that opens the gateway between mind and soul. Incoherence is our modern default. The heart wants peace. The mind spirals in fear. This internal war fractures our frequency, making it nearly impossible to access higher intelligence or spiritual clarity. But when you breathe slowly, especially with longer exhales, you activate the vagus nerve, the bridge between the heart, lungs, and brain. This is when magic begins. Your nervous system relaxes, the mind quiets, the field stabilizes. Gregg Braden teaches that this coherence isn't just healing, it's creative. In this state, your intention becomes amplified. Your thoughts don't just bounce around your skull, they imprint into the quantum field. The heart, after all, is 5,000 times more electromagnetically powerful than the brain. When your breath aligns both, you become a tuning fork for miracles. Manifestation doesn't require effort, it requires coherence. In heart-brain coherence, time feels different, intuition spikes, decisions feel guided rather than calculated. You begin to know instead of just think. This is the frequency where synchronicities increase, where your body becomes more than a machine, it becomes an oracle. And it all begins with the breath, specifically breathing into the heart space, as if the inhale passes through your chest, energizing the heart's wisdom, and the exhale grounds that signal into your reality. So here's the truth hidden in plain sight. If you want to talk to the universe, you have to speak its language, and that language isn't English or thought, it's frequency. The breath aligns the translator. When you breathe with the heart, you don't just change your biology, you step into a dialogue with creation itself. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It doesn't care what you plant. It simply grows whatever seeds are repeated with emotion. But most people try to reprogram this powerful realm using only thought, affirmations, or willpower. What they miss is this. The subconscious doesn't speak English. It speaks sensation, rhythm, and breath. That's why breathwork, when done with intention, is one of the fastest ways to rewrite the energetic scripts running your life. Every emotion you've ever suppressed, every trauma you've ever stored, lives in the body, encoded in breath patterns. Shallow breaths often mean, "I'm not safe." Paused breaths may signal, "I'm afraid to feel." Through breathwork, we access these imprints not intellectually, but energetically. You don't need to analyze the story. You need to move the energy. Deep, connected breathing bypasses the conscious mind and goes straight to the source. Neville Goddard often said, "Feeling is the secret." But feeling is not always accessible when we're locked in the mind. Breath becomes the bridge. It induces altered states, theta and gamma waves, where the critical, analytical gatekeeper softens and the subconscious becomes suggestible. In this state, you can plant new beliefs, new visions, new identities, and the body accepts them as truth. Rebirthing breathwork, holotropic states, and even simple coherent breathing can induce spontaneous releases. Old grief, forgotten fear, or ancestral trauma rising to the surface and dissolving. This isn't imagination, it's energetic purging. The body is updating its frequency map, and when that update happens, your outer reality has no choice but to follow, because energy always precedes manifestation. So if you've been stuck in the same patterns, attracting the same relationships, sabotaging the same goals, it's not because you're weak. It's because your breath is still coded with an old identity. Change the breath, and you change the code. It's not therapy. It's alchemy. Your breath isn't just a tool. It's the access point to rewrite the very reality you're living. Breath is not confined to this dimension. It may enter the lungs, but its ripple touches realms beyond the visible. Every ancient lineage, from the shamans of the Andes to the mystics of the East, understood this. Breath is the vehicle of the soul. It doesn't just keep the body alive. It moves consciousness between dimensions. And when you learn to wield it with awareness, You gain access to timelines, beings, and wisdom that exist beyond the veil of ordinary perception. What we call multidimensional isn't somewhere far away. It's right here, layered like frequencies on a dial. Most people are stuck on one channel, trapped by the density of stress, breath-holding, and disconnection. But as you slow your breath, deepen it, and tune it with intention, you begin to shift bands. You feel it, a tingling in the skin, a lightness in the spine, a sense of stepping outside time. This is not imagination, it's resonance. In altered breath states, like those induced by deep pranayama, holotropic breathing, or even stillness-based methods, the veil thins. The pineal gland activates, releasing dimethyltryptamine, DMT, often called the spirit molecule. This is the biological gateway to the unseen. You begin receiving visions, messages, insights. And they don't come from out there, they come from deeper layers of your own multidimensional self. Terence McKenna often spoke of language as a virus from another dimension. Breath, then, is the carrier. It moves information between dimensions, translating the unseen into felt experience. You don't need a substance or guru to access this, you just need breath, silence, and presence. When used skillfully, your breath becomes a tool of remembrance, a way to reconnect with soul fragments, with timelines where you're already whole, already awakened. So when people say, "I feel stuck," it's not just mental, it's vibrational. And often, it's because their breath is anchoring them to density. But with each conscious inhale, you have a choice. You can remain tethered to the matrix, or you can lift into the quantum ocean, where infinite versions of you already exist. The breath is the oar, the choice is yours. There comes a moment, subtle, sacred, when you realize you've been holding your breath not just in your lungs, but in your life. And in that moment, the veil lifts. You see that it was never the outer world that kept you trapped. It was the rhythm within, the breath you forgot to hear, the message you never learned to decode. Your breath was never just keeping you alive, it was keeping you aligned or misaligned with the reality you lived in. But now you're awake. Now you remember. Every breath is a choice, a timeline, a vibration sent across the field of possibility. So the next time you inhale, don't just take in air, take in power, presence, permission to rise. And as you exhale, release the illusion that you are stuck because you never were. You are the breath, you are the bridge, you are the gatekeeper of your own ascension. If this transmission activated something within you, honor it. Like the video, share it with your soul tribe and subscribe to the Cosmic Awakening channel, where each breath brings you closer to truth.